My name's Richard Accardi, SVP of Client Service here at Cardinal. I want to thank everyone for joining us today for our panel discussion of scaling patient acquisition and complex brand architectures. We've got some fantastic marketers here to talk to us today about this. Really excited to introduce them, Ashley, Chris, Rowan. I think you guys deal with this on a daily basis. But if we want to do some quick intros, Ashley, I'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Ashley Minato, head of marketing at Smile Partners USA. I oversee marketing for 114 practice locations and 80 plus dental brands. So I lead strategies that drive patient acquisition, retention, and brand consistency across our network.
Perfect. Chris?
Yeah, I am Chris LaFleur, and I'm the head of marketing for American Vision Partners. We are an MSO practice management organization in the ophthalmology eye care space. We have over 140 locations. We have 10 brands, over 140 locations across 5 states, 26 surgical centers, and over 180 providers. Um, and that's AVP.
Yeah, love it. And Chris, I think you and I spent 25% of our time a few weeks back talking about just this. So it worked out well. It worked out well.
Yeah,
Yep.
you came to Phoenix at just the right time.
I did. I did. I missed Rowan though. Rowan, if you want to give a quick intro.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rowan Harper. I'm the Director of Digital Marketing for Specialty Dental Brands. We are a specialty house, so 3 BUs, pediatrics, orthodontics, and oral surgery. We're 85 brands across 240, 250 locations in 25 states. So trying to align those to the umbrella operations of DSO while honoring, I think, practice individuality and autonomy becomes the challenge, but a welcome one.
Yeah. Thanks, Rowan. Sounds like we've got three of the right panelists here. So I think we're all used to this at this point. I think a poll should be popping up on your screen. Poll question for this session. How are you managing brand complexity across your portfolio? Please submit your answers now, and we'll see how it goes. And we'll just give it a few seconds, guys. Yep, me too, Tara. Me too. All right, cool. It looks like it's pretty flush across the board. Decentralized house of brands model, hybrid model, centralized branded house. I think this session will kind of help across the board. But good to see that it's a pretty even poll across the board. I think we can all get some good information out of this. All right, and also, if you didn't see kind of what you're working with on your side on that list, feel free, drop it in the chat box. Love to kind of get that information as we're going through this. All right, we'll start jumping into the discussion, thinking through building for sustainable growth. And this is really a question for all of our panelists. What advice would you give to marketers inheriting a complex multi-brand portfolio? Maybe we think through where do you start and things to avoid. Ashley, maybe toss it to you.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
So when you inherit a multi-brand portfolio, the first thing I'd say is don't rush into execution. Really start by listening and diagnosing. So I like to spend time understanding each brand's history, patient mix, reputation, and really the growth stages. Every office and brand that we've acquired at Smile Partners has its own ecosystem. What works for one may completely miss for another. So I always start with the foundations. Is the data clean and consistent across systems? Are the Google business profiles accurate? What about the websites? Are those even technically sound and optimized? Do we have tracking and attribution set up? So those are really the non-negotiables before scaling anything. And what I try to avoid is centralizing everything too quickly. The overstandardization can kill local trust and culture. So the key for me and my team is really to create those guardrails and not handcuffs, which then give the field room to localize with a consistent brand and performance framework.
Yeah, love that. Chris, Rowan, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think Ashley, she really hit it. We are a house of brands here too at AVP. So to me, it's definitely getting started. You just don't want to rush into too many things too quickly, and you definitely want to learn all of the brands. You want to learn how they work operationally, the service lines, the workflows, how they schedule, make those introductions to the clinic managers, and I think also we want to look at, I think we're lucky here at AVP, like all of our brands, each one of them that we've acquired has like a 20-year plus history in their community. Some of our brands are even up as high as 40 plus years, but we want to look at what they've done in the past marketing wise and what they're currently doing, any kind of outreach that they're doing. And we don't want to disrupt anything, and we want to support it. And then we'll begin to build a strategy off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I was to add anything, I think both my colleagues have stated pretty eloquently, how I would tackle it or have. The thing that I would add is because we're so specialty based, I think you got to honor and acknowledge that what each service line offers really means potentially a different approach, right? So our ortho practices really are about case starts. They're kind of about one time. I sign a case, I satisfy that case over a couple of years. It's very rarely that there's a return patient versus our pediatric outreach and the types of things that we're doing there to support at the practice level are much different. We're bringing in a new patient and we're really fostering that relationship over, the next 10, 12, 15 years because it's a child, as well as the fact that then from a specialty perspective, how are we setting up that practice and our own organization at the umbrella level to drive that patient now from a pediatric approach into our ortho funnel. Paralleling that, very different again, is oral surgery. So oral surgery is more largely referral based, so much less at the practice level as far as outreach, new patient driving, that type of thing. I think important to touch on it, but certainly put it in the mix, but something to be aware of. So we've been successful. We're really focusing on what a particular brand that's come into our portfolio offers, which specialty, and how we handle that. We've paralleled that also with creating a marketing playbook. So playbook has everything they could be doing and what can they kind of hand pick and apply at their practice level. So from localization, I think Ashley nailed it as far as GDPs, reviews, that type of thing, really elevating local presence. But those things have to be considered on a brand by brand basis because you don't want to alienate by all of a sudden standardization. So that's become very, very important for us.
I love it, Rowan. And I saw a question pop up in the chat. Matt was asking maybe the first thing that you guys would start looking at from an audit perspective when a new brand comes on board or a new practice comes on board. Thank you, guys. Any feedback on that question from Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in there. The thing that's most critical, and I think Ashley pointed to this as well, really understanding what they're doing today and attribution. So how are you assessing what they're doing is successful or not? So we want to look at the tech stacks, the CRMs, the PMSs, where and what data do I have at that level? And what do I need to elevate or escalate to the corporate state, which allows me from like a Power BI or certainly a data warehousing perspective to take marketing data and operationalize that to revenue. So I would say that for me is the most critical place to start. Knowing how bad or how good that situation is really dictates the next 2-3 months and onboarding.
Yeah, love that. And that might go into kind of the next question that we've got around future-proofing. Rowan, we maybe keep it on you, but future-proofing your marketing infrastructure for continued growth.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's a tough one because there's almost no such thing, right, as future-proofing. And I only say that because the digital space changes, landscape's changing every single day. So what drives a new patient in or a touch point today may be completely different 3 weeks from now. But yeah, I think it's just about covering the bases. So you've got to know that from an organic perspective, have you really covered off your localization and presence in the end market? So that means really solid web presence. Lots of our doctors get really hung up on visuals and design. I have a hard time helping them understand that it's really not so much about the web experience, but somebody's ability to really quickly make a call, to make an appointment, make a touch point with the practice. So we kind of have a little bit of rub there. But from a future proofing, I'm just coming back to that. I think it's solid localization, got to do GBPs, listing management. Those things are critical. Reviews, can't stress enough about how much reviews drive. And so we spend lots of time about really driving review processes and structures. 24-hour turnarounds on acknowledging every single review, no matter what the rating. Encouraging people to leave a rating, not a review. A review seems like a task, right? So just go give us 5 stars. If we didn't deliver it 5 stars, why? Let's discuss it right now. Versus leaving somebody like, oh, got to go write a review. And then paid. You got to cover your bases in paid. People are always going to search. So depending on specialty, and if you have the budgets, we also try to caution people not to spend if we don't have enough to really spend to make a dent. So constantly assessing and making sure that the dollars that are being spent are actually translating to new patients. Ultimately, that's all my role is, drive new patients.
Yeah, love it. Future-proof. And then you just go on vacation after all that in place.
If you set it up right, you can be there to support it. If you don't set it up right, you're going to keep chasing it all day long.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, continuing on this discussion, Ashley, for you, walk us through maybe your first 90 days. When a new practice joins Smile Partners, what are the non-negotiables you implement immediately versus what do you let evolve over time?
Yeah. So first 90 days, our focus is to stabilize, standardize, and support. So non-negotiables are a fully verified and optimized Google business profile. This includes photos, categories, address, phone contact, consistency, everything down the board. Website integration or updates for SEO and tracking, phone tracking and form conversion setup, access to patient management data for reporting, training on reputation management processes, and review collection. Rowan, thank you. Collaboration with operations and what we need to support the office to really reach their growth goals. Those foundational elements set us up to actually measure performance. So when we let evolve over time, or what we let evolve over time are the creative and community-based initiatives. So like social media tone, referral programs, local partnerships. We really want the brand to retain its personality and patient relationships. So that part needs to evolve organically once we understand the community voice.
Yep, love it. Speaking my language. And then Chris, tossing it over to you. How do you maintain quality control as you scale across more brands and locations?
Yeah, sure. I kind of feel like I'm a small fish here with between Ashley and Rowan. We only have 10 brands, but it's a team effort. We have a small marketing team, but it's all hands on deck when we're looking across all the brands, and we're always in our websites. But to start, if we acquire a practice and they don't have a set of brand guidelines, we develop a really comprehensive list of brand guidelines, and it's more than just the colors, the color palette, the fonts, the logos. I mean, we dive into, the region, the demographics, the culture, and we stick to those brand guidelines. We share those guidelines that include service lines and operational challenges. We share those with our vendors and our agencies when we do the onboarding. So it's between us, our agencies, and our team that help maintain that quality control. Also, it's good for us. One thing we assign called brand partners at the clinic level. So we're looking at clinic directors, clinic managers, those that really have an in-depth knowledge of how the clinic operates and how they schedule. And we assign them, and as we optimize pages, as we create campaigns, as we redo websites, we're bouncing that back and forth with them so that they have that extra set of eyes that we don't necessarily have. Because I think one of the big things is you have to avoid assumptions. You look at a certain brand and they do this procedure and they do it this way, so you assume that all the brands do that procedure that way, and it's really more provider driven than it's brand driven. So again, the brand partners are really important to maintaining that quality control for us.
Yeah, no, I love that. And maybe sticking with the discussion around scaling campaigns across the different brands, Rowan, thinking through, the systems and processes that you use to help manage hundreds of campaigns simultaneously. maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is probably a shameless plug here, but we work
Plug
very
away.
closely with an agency who help us. Their name is Cardinal Digital Marketing. And they have just helped steer us and understand, where and when to really pull some of those triggers, right? So we certainly guide them and tell them what we need, but in helping them understand what they need, they've been great walking us through kind of what that means. So yeah, top to bottom, it's who am I targeting, when and why, and really how am I parlaying that with what the practice needs and or wants, right? So I think coming back to Chris's comment on the previous question as far as quality, and also on the previous comment about what you do in the first 90 days, I think understanding from the practice that you're bringing in what works and what doesn't, or where they feel their pain points are, what are they looking for from the partnership, right? We try to use that to help drive that. So some folks tell us, listen, we don't need to do an omni-channel approach. We're not into doing paid media and search. We really want to focus on localization. We really want to focus on referral programs. And so those are the things that we hit up. But I've really been blessed having a very lean team internally. Not that I want a lean team, but because I have a lean team, I've had to rely on an agency partner that's kind of helped keep us honest. And based on their best practice, I lean on them a lot. So I'm not too proud to take their input, their guidance, and where it works, we measure its results, and where it's not working, we challenge them to switch gears and or come to the table with some other ideas. But I think it's about transparency. I think it's about building trust, and I think it's about collaboration.
Yep. Love it. Lean away.
And that as much with the actual doctor partners.
Yeah.
So
yeah, love it. Thanks, Rowan. And then I know we've talked a little bit about kind of local brands or brands when we're bringing them into the fold, but actually thinking about the 80 plus individual brands, how do you maintain that local relevance in your messaging while still achieving some consistency?
Yeah. It's all about building a flexible framework. So we anchor around 3 consistent pillars: brand voice, visual standards, and patient experience. So from there, we give the local teams customizable plug and play content. For example, a whitening promotion might use the same copy framework and design template, but highlight a local event or doctor photo. Our goal is really to keep the brand experience cohesive, but not cloned. Patients in Denver shouldn't see the exact same post as patients in Atlanta, but they should feel the same trust, tone, and care across all of our locations.
Got it. I love that. And Lena, I see your question there. How do you navigate? I'll toss that question up real quick. How do you guys navigate extensive provider input maybe? And this, I think, actually kind of sticks with that local relevance or those individualistic brand voices. How do you guys navigate provider input? Maybe even providers who think, oh, okay, thanks, Lena. Maybe even for providers who are maybe stepping into like the marketing side of things.
Oh, I think Ashley and I, before this session, we had connected, or I had reached out to her and asked her that very question. Literally, how do you deal with, the doctor partner who thinks that he's a marketer and knows best? Ashley, go for it.
I'm giggling over here because I want to make sure I don't say something that will get me in trouble, but it really is a delicate dance. Like, of course, they know their patients better than anyone. And I hope they would never ask me to extract a tooth, because I would never expect them to be a marketing professional. But that's where the collaboration really is key, and collaborating with operations as a sounding board to make sure that we're all on the same page from a strategy, because not only are we trying to drive growth at their practice, but we're trying to drive growth for the entire organization. And we have a playbook or a toolbox, I like to call it, that we know works. So once they're acquired and they swoop in, we're like, okay, we know that the paid media works, the referral program works, the SEO works, the website foundational works, the community engagement works. And the community engagement really is key because I can't be at every practice every single day doing my PR walk advocating for those offices. Like I need the providers, the office managers, everybody in that office to get out into the community and really be the director of first and last impressions to those patients. So it's a delicate dance of standing on your own and really being the knowledge expert, but then also collaborating. So the provider, the practice feels like they have valid input because, I mean, they really know the patient base the best at the end of the day.
Yep.
Yeah, you nailed it. So I think it's certainly the word collaboration is key. I think lots of communication, right? Ashley's last comment is about, they know best their market, their patient, what's worked in the past. So if you can have them feel like they're, being heard, so you're listening and not just trying to tell them, okay, now you're going to be subject to our playbook, they're much more inclined to listen. Now, they also typically, to me, seem to rear like an ugly head when things aren't going right. Then they think that they could be doing it better. And that becomes a challenge. So I think it's helping redirect and re-steer to, hey, listen, these are things that we know work. Let's figure out why you feel they're not working or you're not seeing the lift that you want, but having them feel like they're making, some of the decisions or giving input around which decisions and action is being made. So yeah, I mean, collaboration, making sure that you're seen as a partner, not a dictator, I think is critical.
Yeah, we handle it the same way. We like to embrace those conversations as a marketing department and a marketing team. We treat everybody as a client or a customer. So, marketing is always open. We're never closed. We never say no. But, when we have the entrepreneurial spirit, we embrace it. We like to have those conversations and to help guide that. And, if we don't think it's right for the campaign, we'll voice it and we'll walk through it. And there can be some struggles from time to time, but mostly we don't have too much struggle at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's building trust. Exactly what all three of you just said. Building trust with the team. Y'all are the front line, essentially. Where on the agency side, we see some of it. The only other thing I would say is, and Lena, I hope you like this one, but I think we get brought into some of the conversations, and I think that's a great tactic for that and building kind of trust with what you all are doing and what your agency partners are doing is letting us connect with them and kind of talk a little bit about, the performance that we're seeing, the work that we're doing. I think that goes a long way with just some, relationship development. Those conversations aren't always easy and easy to schedule, but when they get scheduled and the conversations continue, I think it gets a lot better for sure. All right, perfect. So getting back to scaling, I'm getting watch taps. Getting back to kind of scaling campaigns, Chris, let's talk a little bit about kind of your process for determining which campaigns can be templated versus customized. Maybe going back to a little bit of that local relevance piece.
Yeah, I think for us, we look at the objectives of the campaign. So is the campaign about patient acquisition, or is the campaign brand awareness, or is it a reactivation campaign? What I mean by that is we do a lot of email campaigns for, patients that are overdue for an eye exam. They're 12 months plus out. So we'll send an email out, call it reactivation. I think all of those can be templated, but depending, if you have a campaign that's really out there to try and fill a provider's spots or trying to fill the clinic's capacity, or if it's a cash pay service campaign versus something covered by insurance, then maybe that'd be a little bit more customized. So we'll look at it that way. And then we also look at what channel we're using to determine whether we template it out and or whether we customize it. And I'll go down Rowan's alley too. It's like a lot of it we throw back with our agency Cardinal. What can they template it across for us as well? And they do a great job. So we love having them as a partner.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris. We didn't pay him for that. So maybe switching topics a little bit, technology and data. Ashley, maybe we start with you on this topic. But technology solutions. So maybe talk a little bit about what technology solutions have helped you from an efficiently personalizing market across diverse brands.
Yeah. So Key ones for us, Patient Prism and Next Health integration for closed loop attribution, but also Next Health from a communication standpoint and personalizing everything that the patient is receiving once they leave the chair, from appointment minders to awareness campaigns. And then, of course, Google Tag Manager and GA4 dashboards for scalable and consistent tracking. And then online listing tools such as Bird Eye, I'll give them a little shout out. Those allow us to accurately manage the reputation. So, in all of the reviews, and then assuring that all of the location content and contact information is cohesive and consistent across the board. And then we even like to use some templative creative platforms like Canva, which helps us for brand consistency and customization. And then the biggest one for that has really helped us stay organized and really helped us manage hundreds of campaigns and requests without the chaos is a centralized project and request portal system that's managed in-house and where all of our offices can put in requests on a daily basis for anything that they need. And then this really just helps us unlock by integrating these systems. So we're seeing data flowing seamlessly between the platforms, and that really helps enable personalization at scale.
Got it. Love it. All right, perfect. Rowan, maybe this next question's for you. What's your approach to tracking performance across disparate brands and tech systems?
Yeah, so we've had a challenge with that because our PMSs especially and phone systems are quite disparate. But we've at least tried at the corporate level to define what the right measurements are and how we can then track that particular measurement and align it with what we can get from the practice level. So we work with Power BI. So we've established a very extensive data warehouse. We use that for operations to drive all of our operations, but we feed all of our operational data from the practice level into that. We then align that with our marketing data. So coming back to some of the tools and techs that Ashley talked about, I think phone system and phone tracking are critical. We're kind of in the mix at the moment where we're evaluating phone systems versus phone tracking or call tracking, deciding if our phone system actually will do what call tracking does. So we'll look to eradicate that, because if we can use our phone system tracking, it's already in our data set. So that would be a great advantage, or one less alignment we have to worry with. We also use a corporate tool for our tracking and kind of requests. So we actually use help desk, Zendesk. So everyone's equipped with being able to submit a Zendesk ticket and it flows into our marketing systems queue. But that's how we manage that stuff. But really, disparate data is the biggest challenge, because you have to figure out how multiple disparate sources equate to a single report and how you align each of those with one another to actually communicate the same result. So that is actually without evading a real answer. It's kind of the thing that I chase just about on a daily basis. Is really trying to align what happens at one practice with what happens at another practice to mean the same thing relative to is something working or not. So to me, it's a moving target that just about we're working with every day. But yeah, Swell, Yext, using those types of products for listing management and for review management. And we get very good data from them. But again, that's a marketing data source, which we now have to parlay into Power BI. We're pulling GA4 stuff, we're pulling GAC. But essentially, we funnel it up to a single reporting schedule where I can go operations and marketing side by side and see what marketing yielded from an ops and a rev perspective.
Cool. Love it. Thanks, Rowan. And then thinking about performance and how we're tracking that, Chris, what metrics on your side, KPIs matter the most when you're evaluating the health of your multi-brand marketing operation?
Sure. Yeah. We try to keep it simple. We treat each brand separately, so we do all our reporting separately on the brands. But we are hyper-focused and dialed in on cost per lead and cost per booking. So we track all the way to scheduled appointment, not shown appointment, but scheduled appointment. So we're looking hyper-focused on cost per lead and cost per booked appointment. We put targets on these cost per bookings. We met early in the year with our finance team and our senior leadership team to set what a cost per booking target would be for a new patient. And then we did those across service lines because we're often running multiple campaigns on multiple service lines for each brand. So we feed those targets to our agency, and then internally we're looking at our dashboards throughout the month, always keeping an eye on those, where our cost per lead will tell us what channels are generating the best opportunities the most efficiently, and then our cost per booking kind of shows us the quality of those leads. And then through our tech stack, we're able to see if the leads aren't converting, why they're not converting. We're looking at it, whether it's a channel issue or a content issue, or it could be an operational issue. So that's pretty much what we're focused on.
Can I ask you a question, Chris?
Sure.
I know that Richard was sort of asking the question, but I'm just curious, do you break that CPL down then based on regions where a cost of a lead is more expensive in a particular region over another? Or how do you standardize that at all?
We just do it across all brands. We don't put a standardization on the cost per lead, but we look at the lead based off of the service line. So we understand we'd pay more for certain leads, depending if it's a surgical campaign versus just a general eye campaign.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is we struggle with that because I've got to worry with the cost of a pediatrics lead versus an orthodontics lead versus a wisdom tooth extraction lead.
Right.
And then I worry with an orthodontic lead cost in Scottsdale, Arizona versus the orthodontic lead cost in Omaha, Nebraska. And so we struggle with that constantly around trying to really strategize that without really taking input from the doctor on what the value of that lead is. And we just about use that to then scale our campaigns and our spend with Cardinal. But it's a constant challenge. I was just curious on your thoughts. So thanks for your perspective.
Awesome. And the other thing, maybe Chris, I would add to that as well is capacity, right? And that might not be exactly a KPI, but definitely a metric that I know from at least the Cardinal side and working with you all, we think a lot about capacity and how that might drive cost per leads and cost per bookings up or down and where the availability is. I feel like I could talk capacity and how that works, but
oh yeah, we're in the middle of our 26 budget planning. And I just had one of my oral surgeons look at me and go, hey, by the way, the whole digital media budget that you put in for 2026, I completely wiped it out. I zeroed it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, I'm at capacity. I don't have room to add another booking through the whole next year, basically. I was like, okay, well, that's a good reason not to spend money. So let's keep the cost down. But you're absolutely right. Capacity is classic.
yeah, and it falls a little bit out of our marketing realm, but at the end of the day, we're having to plan around it. So let's,
that's 100%. Our agency hit us on capacities right when we turned on our campaigns at the beginning of this year. So we're also looking at provider utilization and then the capacity of each clinic to dial up, what's the size of that budget per that region. That definitely drives a lot of the conversation.
yeah, perfect. Love it. All right, maybe moving on to the next topic of discussion, lessons learned. It's my favorite thing to talk about with the team. Maybe starting with you, Ashley. You mentioned you've tried a lot of this in the past year, but what's a good lead gen strategy that seemed logical but maybe failed in practice when you try to roll it out across your brands?
Yeah, we love a good fail forward story over here. So one strategy that seemed great in theory but didn't play out as expected was when we tried to run a large scale centralized comprehensive exam and cleaning promotion across all brands. Really on paper, it made sense. It's the most common entry point for new patients. And we built a strong multi-channel push across Google, Meta, and email. But what we ended up learning was that the same offer meant very different things in different markets. So some areas, patients were motivated by the value and convenience, while others, they were more driven by trust, doctor reputation, or specialty services. So one blanketed message diluted what made each brand unique and locally relevant. So the insight was the local context matters more than offer uniformity. Just so now we approach campaigns with shared creative frameworks and core messaging, but we allow for local customization, whether that's adjusting the service focus, price sensitivity, or imagery to reflect. So it really reinforced something that I always come back to. Scale is powerful, but relevance is what converts.
Got it. Love it. Awesome example there. I saw Rowan taking notes as you were talking.
Seriously, like, this is some good stuff. I wish I was like on the other side, just listening and taking it all in. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And then Chris, for you, maybe what surprised you most about what's worked when scaling campaigns across your brands? Something you maybe didn't expect to perform as well as it did.
Yeah. You know what? I can't say that I've really had a lot of surprises. Like I said, beginning of this year, we were hyper focused on going tracking everything to a booking. And so January and February, we put together all of our dashboards. There was a lot of noise in the dashboards, but once we had that figured out and we started tracking and reporting on our dashboards from March through to now to October, we've just seen that nice steady climb. So all of our campaigns are doing this. We're seeing our cost per leads coming down. We're really optimizing them. We're seeing our bookings are up. I think it's just been slow and steady. No major surprises. Sometimes you'll be shocked at a certain campaign, like a cosmetic campaign. We're in the eye care space, but we do cosmetic surgeries, and each region does it a little bit differently. So we'll see some cosmetic campaigns just do really horrible in like Lubbock, Texas, but of course they'll do really good in Scottsdale, Arizona. So it's kind of those things are learning surprises, and we take that.
Awesome. Love it. And then Rowan, I like this question a lot.
oh gosh,
Let's say you could you could burn it all down right now and start from scratch. What would you do differently if you were starting your multi-brand marketing strategy?
oh boy.
Yeah, it's deep.
Hey, the challenge is you asked me something that I wouldn't do,
Yeah.
because I would burn it down and I would create it as a branded house and not a
Yeah.
house of brands,
Exactly.
which just is an easier path forwards, right? But nobody said easy was better.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, if I had to start from scratch, what I probably would do is the challenge is many of us in this situation, certainly us as a DSO, grew so quickly that there almost wasn't time really to take the 90 days to assess a practice that was coming on board and figure out where and what might work best for them. So I mean, the acquisition cycle to me at some point has to include some type of standardization, or at least setting the stage, right? So if you're just going to keep bringing on practices and just saying, oh, it doesn't matter what you do, you can keep doing what you do and use all the tools that you want, it creates a very, very big challenge around really being able to monitor and standardize any type of results and reporting or measurement, right? The measurement is what matters. And you want to try to figure out how to standardize that as much as possible. So I think I would define a couple key core KPIs that no matter what had to be applied and had to be met, as far as whether it was how you were attaining that data, how you were measuring and reporting that data. But we have to get to a point where I think you're defining from the get-go what defines your success, what's going to mean that what you're doing from a marketing perspective and the support you're providing is working, and then what do you need to actually prove that out. And so build that framework, and then an action plan to actually activate it, operationalize it, to me is what I would do.
Yep. Love it, Rowan. Love it. Maybe we start with the first recommendation though and just go in-house. That might be the real answer.
Yeah, I might have just lost my job.
Yep. Love it. Love it. All right. I got my 5-minute timer. So closing thoughts, key takeaways. I've got 2 last questions for the group. Whoever wants to jump in and answer by all means. But Second to last question. What is your top recommendation for healthcare marketers trying to scale patient acquisition across complex brand architectures?
I think Ashley, when we started this webinar,
Yeah.
she nailed it. Learn the brands. That was my key takeaway on answering that question.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to build upon that. I think you really need to get data and communication foundations right first. You can't scale what you can't measure, and you can't connect with patients if your messaging isn't grounded in trust and clarity. So I really would just try and nail the fundamentals, consistent branding, accurate listings, just an easy and clear scheduling experience. And then again, I will always end with this, make operations your best friend and collaborate with them like as much as you can. And then once that infrastructure is solid, every marketing dollar and campaign you layer on top performs better and scales sustainably.
Yep.
Yeah, and I would just add one thing to that, agreeing with everything that's been said. I certainly anyway, and I don't know if this is just a me thing, I really lean on the relationship. So to have the opportunity to chat with a new practice or a new doctor that's coming into the fold and how you're scaling and really just have a one-on-one connection with them, if they know that they have a point of view and or a channel that they can actually speak to someone and not just being told by the corporate office, this is how it's going to be, I think it breaks down the barriers, right? It's half the battle because you can always say, listen, we set the stage together. How can I help you? But you've got to help me too. And I think it's just about a mutual accountability as well down the road.
Yep. Love it, guys. All right. Last question. It's our AI question of the day. How are you currently, and once again for the group, how are you currently using AI or planning to use AI to help manage this complexity and scale more efficiently? We've got 2 minutes, so your answer has to be within 30 seconds. Who's up first?
I'll answer. I use AI to tell us what we're doing wrong or why we're not ranking where we should be. So it's like if because mostly I react to doctors using it. It's a doctor partner that says, well, we search for in ChatGPT best orthodontist in Cherry Creek, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, we went in that list. So let's challenge AI. Let's see what they say. Okay, what made the top five the five that you picked? What are they doing that we're not doing? And almost use that as a guide to improve my own localization and my own presence. So if you can use it as a tool to actually elevate and escalate your own presence, that's how we're initially taking it on for the most part. Then it's content optimizations, changes where you can try to, not go crazy, but you've got to acknowledge it.
I love that. We're also using it for dynamic content generation for emails, patient reminders, ads, really tailored by service and location, but also decision support. So predictive analytics to anticipate which practices might need more patient volume. And then that helps me to decide where to shift budget. So I agree with you, Rowan, like we can't not utilize AI, but we still need human oversight.
Absolutely.
For being empathetic and patient connection that can't be automated.
Yeah, we're having really good success using a platform to create AI generated video content, and then this isn't video content for ad campaigns or digital campaigns. This is doctor to patient video content. We always have our doctors wanting to do more video content to have those conversations with their patients before their patients come into the clinic. So we're able to capture our providers, what they call an avatar, and work with them on scripting and create super quick, fast videos for them that we can deliver to our patients 7 days prior to their appointment, or we can text it to them and they can also watch it prior to the doctor coming in. But it allows us to grab provider videos. When you have over 180 doctors over 5 states, we're able to grab those provider videos really quickly through just a webcam and create that content really fast and efficiently.
Love it. Love it, guys. All right. Well, I think we took it over a minute. It's how my calls always go. But I appreciate the time, Chris, Ashley, Rowan. Great context, great insights. And I think we've got one more panel after this. Hopefully, we'll see you all there. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Thanks, guys.
you.
Thanks, folks.
Rick. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yep. Thanks, guys.